Welcome to Ferocious Education. This is Today I'm going to be talking about COCP. This company before had a nice jump around in the first March dip. So while every other stock was dipping pretty hard, this stock seems to had around a little bit of a nicer jump here and went back to still higher than its previous levels. So looks all good. Now going into just taking a quick look into the latest actions for this stock, we're going to look into the 1 month, 1 day. So first of all, that the stock seems to be going upwards above the 10 SMA, which is very good. The 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, although it is way above the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA. So these two ones here, consider the stock expensive if they're above it, but the stock has been for a while and has had a good run. In terms of million percent R, we can see that the stock is considered still overbought, so that might be a little bit of a dangerous level. Average directional index is a little bit too high, so that might be another one. So we have to look a little bit closer into the intra trades, as well as trend line and the moving averages, and identifying the supports to make a full decision. So let's try to look into the 5 days, 1 hour. So we're trying to capture the last few things. So we can see that the MACD is increasing, which is a good sign. However, we want to make sure that this increase is sustainable. You don't want it to have a pullback and on the next day, right? So if this MACD continues to increase, that would be a good sign. So you want to look in the pre-market. But if this step kind of dies off in the pre-market and earlier before opening, you might see a sharp reversal. And you can see that all this information is really the same, except the average directional index is indicating that there's a strong start of a trend. So this is more of a strong trend that has really high momentum that can move forward. The momentum here is a little bit too high in the aftermarket, but still during the day it looks fine. What else is we have volumes here looks pretty good, above average. 10 SMA still looks above the 30 EMA in 1 hour. So let's take a quick look into moving averages. The stock is above the moving averages, so that might be a little bit dangerous, but we can see that it has been touching at least the top, close to the top. So it might start off with a dip, but it should stabilize a little in the afternoon. Now going into COCP here and trend lines. So let's do a quick trend line here. I'm gonna take somewhere around there. Let's double check into the 1 month, 1 day. This looks like an appropriate trend line where you can see the bottom, the tails are actually touching. I would have loved to touch this one here, but it's a little bit too hard to get it. Okay, so 1 month, 1 hour. We can see that it's an uptrend. However, if it dips, it's going to probably dip down to somewhere around, see the difference, 127 to 131. So it's around 135 is probably where it might dip, at least in the morning. And you can see that there's been a bit of movements where it dips later on in the day. So something, probably what we're seeing is something similar to this here, or this action, and then it just jumps later on afterwards. So it also depends on the PR for the company. So let's try to take a quick look into Fibonacci retracements. We can see a support of 148 for Fibonacci retracements, a really strong one on 127. So if I want to pick this stock, I want to pick it up at somewhere around 133 or a 127 for myself. But there seems to be support of 148. Now, for me, a reward from 148 164 looks really nice, but I want to make sure that the stock has momentum. So what is the current next support that we're looking at? Let's take it to 3 months. Okay, I don't see any current resistances, except going back to here. So that's a little bit of a dangerous way to try to see it. I would say somewhere around 158 to 150 to 158 seems to be the resistance here. Let's double check. Okay, the system does not recognize it, but around 158 seems to be a resistance that are actually already broke. So let's try to see what the next resistance would be. It would be around 171. So that's the next resistance. And the current support is sitting somewhere around 158. Although this is aftermarket, so it's a little bit less reliable as I would like it to be. So what would be my play for this stock? I would only buy it after a dip, since it seems to have held a really nice upward trend. So it has an upward trend here. Let's go to the 1 month, 1 hour. So it's been having a really nice upward trend, although I would like to make sure that I catch it on a dip and try to swing it with maximum profit. But overall, the stock looks like it's been doing good for at least the last month. That's been my own DD on it. Make sure to do your own. If you have any questions, make sure to mention them in the comment below. I always take suggestions for tickers. Make sure to comment, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.